The enemy wants to, break that connection so that he will be the one to bring up your child the way he wants by his various avenues.
In what way do you think family dynamics influence whether a black boy might be more likely to join a gang?
So I think that those dynamics needs to be revisited. There's a reason why God made someone to have a mother and a father.
It's so true. The fathers especially need to draw the sons closer to themselves.
It's like mommy is not home, daddy is not home. They're just hustling.
And by building this relationship, not just as a father, but also as a friend and support, it means that they're able to share with you more openly the challenges that they face.
Growing up, our parents have time for us. They tell us stories. They tell us things about life. You see, that relationship, that bonding is there. Welcome to Wisdom for Exploits with me, Bola Amure. Today we have another educative discussion with my guest. Before we dive into this discussion, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel to get notified on our new videos. Thank you. So my guest, could you please introduce yourself before we dive into the topic for today?
Yeah. So my name is Kirkland McKay, and I'm really honored to be on this podcast. And just to share a bit in terms of my background, I'm an ordained minister, and I've worked with young people for over the last 10 years. I've supported youth within the communities in Leighton, in Newham, in Westminster and Camden areas. I've also served in different local churches where I've supported young people to accept the Lord's calling on their life and also to change their current way of living. I've worked with young people who were affiliated with gangs. I've also worked in collaboration with the London Metropolitan Police to support these young people back into employment and to help them to find new meaning and new purpose for their lives. And also I've done some youth work in Jamaica as well in my younger years. Wow. Where I've helped to shape and to support young people to accept the Lord as their personal savior and to also carry on the journey of becoming stronger believers as well. So in a nutshell, that's me. And also I work as a registered manager in Westminster Council, where I support mainly older people, but from time to time I do also support younger people as well. And I have completed my BSc in operations management. So yeah, that's my background.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome to this talk show. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Over to you, my older guest.
All right. Thank you for having me. My name is Isaac Jemfi, also an ordained minister. I've been in the ministry for about 7 years now, getting to 8 years. And I'm one of the ministers in our ministry called More Christ Ministries, based in Tilbury Town. In terms of youth, in the past years, I used to be one of the youth service leaders when myself and family used to live back in Germany. So I have a bit of experience, also being the firstborn as well, a bit of experience, growing up around young people and also what it means to be an example, importance of being an example for them to follow. In terms of educational background, I've finished a degree in theology, and it was an interesting experience because it did sort of open my eyes or my mind in some things that we wouldn't normally consider in our usual circle. So it made me see some things outside the box. If that makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. It's my pleasure and my honor to be among this podcast today.
Thank you so much, my wonderful guest. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you on this podcast this afternoon. Yeah, today's topic, we're going to be looking at why are Black boys more likely to join gangs compared to ethnic background or compared to other ethnic background. So we'll be looking at this factor that contribute the Black boys joining gangs. In what way do you think family dynamics influence whether a Black boy might be more likely to join a gang? Family dynamics influence.
Yeah, I think that in the early stages, of course, the nurturing is important, and a lot of that nurturing, I think, mostly comes. I'd say yes, it can come from both parents, but I feel like their mother would have probably a leading role to play on that. Then it gets to a certain point where they need that masculine influence and that masculine affirmation, support. And I feel that in some single parent households, some mothers have convinced themselves and also the child that they can do both roles. And I think that that is to a detriment of the child, because then when they do recognize that this person or this child need a father in their life, sometimes it's too late. And sometimes it's difficult for that child to then make that attachment straight away. On their age as well. So I think that those dynamics needs to be revisited. There's a reason why God made someone to have a mother and a father, because as Minister Isaac said, they both have a role to play in making sure that this child is balanced in their growing up. So I think those dynamics need to be looked at, and also I think that how fathers approach their sons. Unfortunately, some of our fathers, they are replaying what happened in their generation when they were a child. And the approach that fathers took back in those days is completely different to what is required now. So there are some fathers who they will not want to go and pray and play with their son and go and kick a football with their son, or to go and ride a bike with their sons, because they think that they're breaking certain boundaries and the authority is diminished. But in fact, it is whilst doing those activities that you start to discover how this young boy or this teenager really feels. The things that are going through their mind, they're in a relaxed state where they can actually be more open, and you can more easily diagnose what is going on. You know how to pray about certain issues. And then by building this relationship, not just as a father, but also as a friend and support, it means that they're able to share with you more openly the challenges that they're facing. So I think that the approach of the fathers needs to change somewhat, or need to be adapted. And also I think that our mothers need to also appreciate the role that the fathers play, and also the fathers appreciate in the role that the mother play when it comes to raising a balanced child.
To add to what my brother said, it's so true. The fathers especially need to draw the sons closer to themselves, get involved in their life activities. When we go back to the scriptures, it's funny because this goes all the way back. Our current fathers think that, they're replaying what they went through. But actually, if you go further than their time, much more to the biblical times, we saw that the fathers had some sort of relationship with their sons. You see how Isaac would go with Abraham to the mountains for the sacrifice. He could have chosen to go with his servants or something, or with his wife, but he decided to go with his son. I believe it's not because God gave him the divine instruction, but it must have been something that they must have often done together back in those days. And in the Jewish tradition, I don't know if we're all familiar, but the fathers used to teach their sons what their traits are. They all sort of point and allude to the fact that they had some sort of like close relationship with their sons, and in that way, it was easier for them to pass on their legacy and also to help them to grow up to become the responsible man and the father that they should be, in their future household. So definitely, our current fathers need to, visit back, visit the scriptures and look at how fathers and sons relationship were back then. I mean, I didn't see for a moment that Isaac was playing with his peers or something. The Bible never even mentioned that. So because how can the blind lead the blind? The blind cannot lead the blind, right? They will both fall into the pit, right? But if the blind is now being led by someone who can see from afar, then 100% they are almost 100% bound to succeed, right? So definitely the family and the fathers especially need to draw them sort of closer to themselves. And I know the enemy uses job and busy sort of lifestyle to not allow the fathers to have time for their kids, but that's only the strategy. The enemy wants to break that connection so that he will be the one to bring up your child the way he wants by his various avenues. You see?
Wow.
We need to strive. Parents need to strive to make time for their kids. In the current world that we're in, that's not easy.
Yeah. It's like you join me further and further into this now, Mr. Isaac. You join me, because Sabine mentioned about when I experienced those things in, for example, in sixth form. How did I cope with that? In other words, and it came back to my upbringing, and so I grew up in Jamaica in the countryside, and I grew up with my grandmother and my grandfather. Now, as you mentioned, in terms of with Abraham and with Isaac, my grandfather, from I was very, very young, as young as I could remember, he was taking me to the field, to the farm,
there you go.
these journeys. Of course, I couldn't help him with anything at that age. I'm just sitting down under a banana tree, eating banana, watching him work and thinking, what time we're going to go home? Yeah. But then by going, we built a relationship. Where, you'll stop, you'll get refreshments, we'll carry it to the farm, we'll bring the radio, you're listening to the cricket, I'm listening as well, we get involved in the sports game. And then that continued all the way up to teenage years, where, it's like, before you know it, I knew how the farm operated, I knew what to do over there. As he was getting older, I could go and dig the yam, go and get the yam for him, go and get the banana and all these different things. But then in all of that, one of the things that I learned was it helped to shape my identity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Being disciplined, being determined, going after your vision, going after your goal, no matter how small. So when I came into UK and I encountered that, for me, it was like, well, I knew what I did and I knew what the Lord has done through me all these years. I knew from where he took me to, in terms of my local church, where I was able to serve in the youth department, the leadership role. I knew where he took me in terms of in high school, where I was able to achieve very good grades. So one teacher here is not going to stop that process, and one teacher here is not going to stop that destiny. But
100%.
Already the work has been done through my pastor. My pastor had so much belief in me growing up. Reverend Dr. Smith, so much belief, and she always pushed me on. My grandmother, so much belief. My grandfather, my aunts, my uncles, my community. So again, that helped me in the difficult moments.
That's really good. That's a profound one, because I wrote it down that creating more time, and thank God that Isaac mentioned that, and I think that is one of the major things we're lacking in this age. We don't have time for the children, and there was a survey that went out about a couple of years ago that why this question we're talking about the black guys getting into gang and all stuff. It's like mommy is not home, daddy is not home. They're just hustling, going walk, and at the end of the day, the child will come back from school. There is nobody at home, and the friend will call him, "What are you doing?" So I'm just at home. You come outside, well, I just go and enjoy that. And that is what happens. So parents as well, we know parents has a lot to do about this issue of these boys and the gang, because they need to create time. They have that relationship. I remember when we were growing up as well, in my house, you must be indoor by 7 o'clock. I mean, my dad is a military man, and my dad he lead by example. If my daddy said by 7 o'clock you must be indoor, my dad is already indoor 7 o'clock, except he has duty. You understand? And if you go, those days there is no phone, and in those days there is no phone that you're calling. Is that they've had that agreement with mom that if you don't see me at this particular time, know that I'm not coming back home. Maybe he traveled to his hometown. He's gonna sleep there. They don't work in the night. But this day, sometimes when I'm coming back from work, maybe sometimes very late, or I went somewhere from work and I'm coming back from the station, I see young ladies, I see young guys going out at that particular time, 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. in the morning. So where is daddy? Where is mommy? Then I walk. And saying this, growing up, our parents have time for us. They tell us stories. They tell us things about life. You see, that relationship, that bonding is there. And that is why we try to, as well, myself and my husband, with our kids, that we sit down, we tell them story. You understand? Because when you sit down with your kids, you have time with them, I think it helps them as well. It puts sense into their brain. You understand? We put it, and all this thing going on outside there, because they will enjoy coming in the house. You see, all those things, the thing they are getting out there, they will not get. They say, there is not much. You come to my house, it's so fun.
Yeah.
I remember one of my sister, my elder sister friend, was like, oh, one day he came to our house and he saw us, everybody sitting in the sitting room. My daddy was telling us a story. My mommy was there. My younger ones, everybody was sitting, they were telling a story. And this sister walked in. She's my elder sister's friend. She came to collect, when you go to school, you didn't finish, you didn't complete your work, you can come and borrow books. So she came to borrow books for my elderly sister. And she said, oh, she mentioned my sister name. She said, I just love your family. Look at your daddy, look at your mommy. Look at all of you. You're just telling your story. He said, where is my daddy now? His daddy is not home. Only the mom. And we are talking about those, not even this age we're living, this 24th century. So I think that's a good point, creating time and having this bonding, and because when we have bonding with them, they'll be able to pour out their struggle. They'll be able to tell us where they're going. I know some kids, they are so tired, they don't want to say anything. We don't know why. But I think as a father figure, like you said, with the father, when you have this bonding with the kids, I believe that that particular kid will pour out his mind and say that, struggle.
Yes. As you said.
Because he's looking at you as the figure, as a father figure.